Hey, this is Hans from Request for Music, and back with a video, this time on the F-Polar, which is a polar scope that I've put into the shop yesterday. And it's yeah, a scope to tell phase differences and what's all with that. Anyway, it's a scope that I actually know sorry, or a visual that I actually know from the isotope ozone software that I use, and I like the effect of that. So I wanted to sort of recreate that. And if I switch a sign on one channel, because they're both connected to the left and the right channel separately, and actually it's a way of looking at phase correlations. So if the signal itself is not that um, widespread as a stereo image, the results of the polar scope will not be that great. But anyway, you'll see that from the top I have a gain value, so I can decide how large the input for the scope is. And underneath I have a color switch with a color mode, and I got transparency and a trail, sort of ghosting like I had on normal scope. I have a glow intensity and a hue animation, and I see that I left some text in there, so I have to um, to update it shortly. Anyway, as soon as I have this signal switched on, I have this second line, and if I dial the other one up, it can tell that there are differences between that in phase and everything. So you see that it suddenly starts moving, and I'll dial the gain a bit back, and I'll dial the transparency back, so you get these kind of waves, and I'll switch off the cables. So the standard color for this is this bluish tint, and I can make the trails much more noticeable. So if I dial it off, this is what it comes up with, and so you see that the lines are measured from sort of a start to a top point, and it's trying to create lines between the origin here and the point up there. So that's what it actually is doing for this. And if I dial it up, you see that you can tell where it's going outside of the range. And if I dial the trails up, it will take this ghosting effect up a bit. Apart from that, of course, there's a color mode. So I got this color, and I'll dial this back a bit. I've got a couple of colors. The first one being red, green, blue, where the color gives the effect of the phase correlation. It shows that phase correlation, and you see that the actual correlation value is between a certain value going to a minus and a plus range. And the colors are this, or the phase itself is deciding what gives what color. But I got a couple of color modes in there. So I've got this color, I've got this yellow orangey kind of thing, the next one being green and cyan, and then just a gray, black, or a gray tint, and this is called a rainbow, and then I've got this as the last one. And especially with these colors, the hue animation could be nice. So it means that if I dial this up, the colors themselves are going to be moving over that area. So looking at this, if I dial it up all of the way, you see that it's sort of rotating in color through range. More of a gimmick than real useful maybe, but just as nice to look at. So if I switch the transparency a bit back, I get this. And the next, if I take down my trail, this was the original signal being calculated, but I can also switch on a glow, and that glow sort of also changes the intensity of all those lines. So you get this. And I said it's dependent on frequency and phase of the signal. So if I take a more um, complex signal in there, like a sawtooth on both waves, you get more interesting shapes and stuff out that. So let's take the color off. Let's just keep it in this range and the glow a bit back. This resembles the isotope scope the most, I think. And let's take some noise in there. It's getting a real complex signal that way, and so taking something like this, taking the gain down a bit. This is sort of the spreading of the signals, and this is also something that you use to take a look at the stereo image of something that you're producing. So in that case, it can be useful as well to have a look at that. Anyway, that's the polar. I have to update it a bit. I've also seen that if I have it next to my scope, I didn't. Let's see if I click the right one. If I take it next to my scope, actually I lacked in the height, so I'll probably take the height up a bit so it resembles the scope in that fashion, which makes it more how do you say that? To make it more the same in shape and size, etc. So I'll probably change that over the next coming days. So I hope you enjoy it anyway, and I'll be back in the next video. Cheers. Bye bye.